The WS6 debate continues. Welcome to Automotive Antics. I'm Kevin, and we're going to continue this conversation about the WS6, what it stands for, other WS RPO codes, and a whole bunch of other things, because there has been a lot of talk in past videos that I've made of the WS6, meaning of it, again, options that came with it, RPO codes, other YouTubers who are making videos saying things that people are misconstruing. So we're going to continue this conversation, talk about it a little more, and try to straighten these facts out a little bit. Now, a lot of my information and stuff that I'm getting is coming from Haggerty, Year One, and GM themselves. So if you want to argue with those three sources, you feel free to call them yourself. But we're going to talk about this. One, we're going to start right with the basics. What does WS6 stand for? Nothing. It stands for nothing. It's an RPO code for a performance package that you got for your car. You had thicker springs, thicker sway bars, and an option to upgrade your shocks with the Bilsteins. That was it. Oh, and you got the Ram Air factory, the factory Ram Air kit. That was standard for the WS6. That was not an option. That was standard equipment. Now, you could not get that Ram Air kit on a non-WS6 Trans Am. If you see one with that on there, it was an aftermarket hood. That never came factory unless you had the WS6 package. Now, of course, it also came with unique wheels and her shifter, but that was it. Okay, so WS6 does not stand for wide suspension 6 pieces, as many of you have tried to argue in past videos, because I have gotten that in comments many a times. And even one person who claimed that he worked on the assembly line and that was what it stood for. Well, truth be told, that is the nickname that employers had given that. That was not something that GM themselves had given it. So the employers who worked on the WS6 in the plant nicknamed it wide suspension 6 pieces, because those were what happened to go on the car. 4 springs, 2 sway bars, 6 pieces. But the wide suspension part confuses me because it's not any wider. It's the same width. So where you got wide suspension, I don't know. Now, many also have brought up the fact that Jay Leno's video on the WS6 confirmed this. Well, it did not confirm this. And here's a clip saying that he even mentioned himself that he thought this was an old wise tale or a rumor, that he was not certain that this was true, but it was thought to be.
People want to say, what does the WS6 stand for? I don't know the way this is one of those old wives' tales things. I thought it was wide suspension 6 pieces, meaning 4 springs, 2 thicker anti-sway bars. That's what I thought it meant.
So there you go. Not confirmed. He was under the impression it might possibly be. So we're going to scrub that from our argument, all right? Also, another argument was that I got a lot of my information from his video. Well, if we look at the published dates, you'll see his video popped up in February 15th of 2021. My very first video, which I admit was not very good, but yet informative, my very first video was published August 15th of 2018. And my second follow-up video, because I wanted to continue talking about this for similar reasons, was published March 23rd of 2020. That, again, even a year prior to Jay Leno's video. So if anyone's copying anybody's information, I was first. Just saying. Now, settling this score a little bit farther. This car had many RPO codes with many different options. And again, WS6 is an RPO code, much like Z28 is an RPO code that just happened to be on a badge on the side of the Camaro. Okay, Z28 didn't really stand for anything either. But Pontiac used a lot of W codes, one of which was WS4. And now someone told me the WS4 was the ram air package. That's also not true. WS4 was used back in '69 from the conversion of Firebird to Trans Am. So if you had WS4 on your build sheet or that little door sticker, that was the Trans Am package. Now, later down the road, 1978 to be exact, is when they introduced the WS6 RPO code with the more performance-oriented suspension. Now, the WS4 RPO code did change. They did drop that. Somewhere in the third generation of the Firebird, they changed the RPO code from WS4, which gave you the Trans Am conversion, to a WS9. So WS9 was the conversion which gave you a V8 Firebird. So we all know you could have the Formula, which was a V8, but it wasn't a Trans Am. It was still considered a Firebird. So we all moved on from the WS4 to the WS9. So now you just have a V8 in your Firebird. The WS9 plus the W66 package was the Formula package. So you could get a V8 Firebird, then you had a Formula. The WS9 plus a Y82 RPO code was your Trans Am. And you also had the WS9 plus the Y84 RPO code was the Trans Am convertible. Now, all of these will still be matched up with, say, you could have the WS9 plus the Y82 and the WS6 RPO code all in your sticker. Now, I do have an example of that sticker here. You'll see it does say WS6. There's a WS9 and there is the Y82. So this is a V8 Firebird with the Trans Am conversion package and the performance suspension package, which we know is the WS6. So after adding all this stuff together with the Trans Am V8 with the LS1, and I'm really working on the LS1 generation here. LS1, the suspension upgrades, Motor Trend tested this with some really impressive performance numbers. Thinking late 90s, early 2000s here, guys. This was a time where there weren't really a lot of fast cars. But this thing ran 0 to 60 in 5 seconds flat and a quarter mile in 13.5 at 107 miles an hour. That is amazing numbers for the time. Also, not many cars at that time were coming with 275 40/17 tires on all four corners. So this thing had amazing grip, both laterally and in a straight line. But somehow I'm veering from the RPO codes to performance numbers, so I'm getting a little sidetracked, sorry. But yeah, RPO codes across the board, guys. WS6 doesn't stand for anything. I know some say wildly sexy 6-speed. Now that I can get behind. Definitely a wildly sexy 6-speed car. Although the front end is controversial, that is a main topic for a lot of people. It's hit or miss. You love the front end or you hate the front end. Everything else about the car, I absolutely love it. I think it's a great looking car, but as my wife says, it does look like a kid's car from high school. I don't know. It definitely takes a younger style, I think, to pull that off. And it's not for everybody. You love it or you hate it. It's in your face. But there are those who obviously aren't into cars that could probably do without it. But I want to talk about those amazing T-tops real quick because those things are awesome. I took mine off at every chance I got, which is probably why they leaked. If you use the T-tops and you take them on and off, the seals, they don't seal right anymore. If you leave your car outside, now mine was under a car cover, but it was still outside. I didn't have a garage at the time. They're prone to leaking. They do leak. Now, there's a lot of you that say it's not leaking. And hey, that is awesome for you. I'm jealous. But again, how often do you take your T-tops off? Is it stored in a garage? A lot of these things do matter. Back then, I didn't have that. I took them off a lot. I love the air in my face. It felt great. And I guess that destroyed the seals. Eventually they leaked. Nothing I could do about it. But I love to hear everybody's WS6 stories. I also know someone else at work personally who has one that's just a click over 20,000 miles on it. I think that's awesome. It's in pristine condition, but drive the car. Come on, guys. Get these things out of the garage. Put miles on them. I don't care if you have 500,000 miles on it. You drive it. You enjoy it. The guys, I'm sorry. I know there are collectors out there who are doing it for value. I mean, I guess if that's what you're into, I mean, I'm not going to knock you, but I'm an enthusiast who likes to enjoy the car for what it is. If you got 500 miles on your car or 5,000 miles on your car, you need to get that thing out on the street and drive, man. That thing is such an amazing car. Enjoy it. I have a thing against low mileage cars. I do. I know they're valuable. I know the price tag will stay up because of it. I feel a car was built to enjoy it. I daily drove a GT500, for God's sake. Come on. I bought it with 20,000 miles on it. I put 15,000 miles on it in the first year. Sacrilegious? Maybe to some. Enjoy the cars. Enjoy life. I mean, that's what it's all about, right? But I want your comments down below what you think of all of the WS6 content we're talking about. RPO codes, what did you have, options, things like that. Fill up the comment section. Do me a favor, drop a like on the video while you're at it, and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. I'm Kevin, and I'll see you in the next upload.